Mike Heim with the Revisor of Statutes. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, House Resolution number 6016 denounces the planned satanic worship ritual, the so-called Black Mass, on the grounds of the Kansas State Capitol, scheduled for next week, I believe, the 28th of 2025. I may be wrong on my dates, but anyway, the 28th. The resolution has got a number of whereases. I'll read a couple of them. First, the United States of America is one nation under God, founded upon principles that recognize the importance of faith, morality, and common good. The House of Representatives acknowledges and respects the First Amendment and so on. The planned satanic worship is an explicit act of anti-Catholic bigotry and an affront to all Christians. And it's resolved that we denounce the planned satanic worship scheduled to take place on the 28th as a despicable, blasphemous, and offensive sacrilege to not only Catholics but all people of goodwill. We call upon all Kansans to promote unity and mutual respect and values that uphold our identity as one nation under God. And we call upon the Kansas governor to condemn the stated activity and its implicit use of stolen property. So that is the House resolution. I understand the Senate will have something similar or the same here pretty soon.
Committee, any questions for Mike? Representative McNorton.
Mike, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mike, can you explain the last sentence there in it about stolen property? What's that referring to? Thank you.
When the stolen property is the host, which Catholics believe is actually the body and blood of Jesus Christ, only Catholics that are in good standing with the church are allowed to receive. If you go to a Catholic Mass and you're Protestant, you are encouraged not to receive because you don't believe what the church teaches. So the Catholic ideal from the beginning is that this is actually the body and blood of Jesus Christ, and somebody had to steal it in order to use it in a Black Mass.
Committee, any other questions? Representative Clayton.
Thank you. Mr. Revisor, does this condemn all Black Masses or just this one particular Mass that is scheduled to take place on one day?
It is condemning this, but it's not written in the broad sense.
Thank you.
Not seeing any more questions. Thank you, Mike. All right, speaking up first, we got Chairman Rajas. Welcome to committee. I think this is your first time in this committee for a while.
I believe it is. I've been here for tax and some other ones, and so good to see you all again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, colleagues. I'll be very quick. You know, when this was announced, it kind of struck to my core. I'm not Catholic, just so you know. But I saw some of my Catholic colleagues and others of that faith that were really tore up and they were very emotional, and thought, what can I do as a believer and a person of faith to help and to maybe be a voice against this? But I want to make sure that we fully understand it's stated and it's true. We are not saying the First Amendment has no place here. It does. But what we're saying is this is an explicit act against anti-Catholic bigotry and an affront to all Christians. And that's why that language is here. I think as we look at anything like this, now, could there be unintended consequences down the road? Sure might be. But again, we're not limiting them folks to assemble. People assemble outside and they walk around the Capitol And this year we've had people protest or march or whatever around the Capitol, sometimes making it difficult for our citizens, our pages, our interns to come and be here because of that, but they find a way in. But what this resolution is said, this is the House version. There were 78 members that signed on. There might be some more that would have wanted to, but we did this very quickly. And you can see it's not a very long resolution. Was a resolution due? It's not law, but it's about the best we can do. We don't have the wherewithal to say, you can come, you can't. There's still the thing called the Constitution and also the Kansas Constitution, and folks have the right to free speech, but they also have the right to the consequences of that, and we want to make sure that this is not escalated into a fever pitch or something that would promote violence, but we want to make sure, as many of us have heard from our constituents, of wanting to try to stop this, and so this is what we can do. So, Mr. Speaker, I will take questions at the appropriate time.
Committee, do we have any questions? Representative Sawyer. Clayton.
Thank you. You mentioned a Senate version. Is it exactly the same? There won't be like some weird conference process on this or anything?
I do not know. I'm not working with any senator on this. We took the lead. Regardless of what the media says, the House took the lead on this to condemn it. So I have no idea what the Senate language is. So
Yeah, I
thanks
mean,
for the
well, we are
question.
better. So thank you for recognizing
Yes,
that.
thank you.
Mike, you want to weigh in on that?
This is a House resolution. It will not go to the Senate. If there's a dispute or difference in language, it won't make any difference.
Not seeing any other questions? Thank you, sir. Next up to speak, we have Chair Moser. Welcome to committee. While you're working your way up there, I do want to give a shout out to, hey, welcome Chair Tarwater to Fed and State. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the last 4 sessions, I've sat in that chair right over there on the committee, and I don't believe I've ever presented to the committee. So thank you for your attendance and your attention today. Short and simple, I stand in total support of God, Catholics, and all Christians against this sacrilegious and blasphemous event. Satanists specifically state this event is meant to mock the holy sacrifice of the Mass, which is the Catholics' highest form of worship to God. My heart's pounding. I ask you to please support this resolution, and I'll be happy to stand for any questions. Thank you.
Committee, any questions for Chair Moser? Not seeing any. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And,
Thank you,
and
committee.
welcome back.
Thanks.
Next up, we have Representative Steens. Welcome to committee.
Is that on? I think free speech was brought up, and I just wanted to read this. While it is true that blasphemy is generally seen as protected speech under the First Amendment in Lynch versus Donnelly in 1984, Chief Justice Warren Burger explicitly said that the Constitution affirmatively mandates accommodation, not merely tolerance to all religions, but forbids hostility to all. Ergo, for the government of Kansas to allow an event on the grounds of the State House, this expresses the purpose of which to insult Catholics might give the impression that is endorsing this sacrilege. So to me, it would therefore be party to the kind of hostility to religion that the Supreme Court has found unconstitutional. And as the previous conferee said, the body and blood of Christ has not been given to these people. So how did they get it? We don't know. All I'm saying is it is anti-Catholic bigotry, and it is hostile towards our religion. Thank you. And I'll stand for questions.
Committee, do we have any questions? Not. Representative Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So would you be in favor of trying to stop it altogether?
Yes.
And you don't think that is kind of what they want?
Well, I think it's going to even be harder to control with them being on state grounds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Committee, any other questions? Representative Reese.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And you made the statement that the governor is allowing this?
She's allowing the ritual to take place, I think were her words. Or not allowing rituals to take place, I'm sorry. She was allowing them to be outside, protecting their free speech rights. Not allowing rituals to take place in the State House, I think was how it was presented.
Okay.
So originally they had applied to be in the State House, and then they moved it outside, but it's still on Capitol grounds, so it's still on government property.
And I'm Catholic, cradle Catholic, because I found that term out after I started here, not convert. And I don't believe this mass should go on. But the governor has put stipulations on this, and I don't know, if they voted for her, if they didn't vote for her, if they paid their taxes or what they do. But don't you feel they're entitled to the same freedoms that we're entitled to?
I don't think that anyone should be able to come and express something that's hostile towards one religion. Would we allow a Quran to be burned on our grounds? Would we allow a menorah or some other Jewish traditional book to be shredded on our state grounds?
No, probably not. Looking what
I
I'm
would just
seeing,
pose
but
that question.
I posed the question to you as conferee, that do you feel this is a deprivation of people's rights?
I think it's a defamation to all. Yes, I think it is anti-Catholic bigotry. I think it is specifically targeted at the Catholic faith. Yes, I do, because they're desecrating a host that we believe to be the body and blood of Christ. Thank you.
Committee, any other questions? Not seeing any, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Lucretia. Welcome to committee.
Thank you, Chairman Kessler and committee members. I believe you have testimony from my director, Chuck Weber, and he had a prior engagement, so you're stuck with me at the moment. Which, if you don't know, I am Lucretia Nold. I'm the policy specialist for the Kansas Catholic Conference. And just a little bit more background and information as to why we're in support of H.R. 6016. As many of you know, we are in the season of Lent, and on the first Sunday of Lent, every Catholic church in the world heard the same gospel reading where Jesus is tempted in the desert by the evil one. To be more specific, it's the Gospel of Luke, chapter 4, verses 1 through 13. Jesus does not shy away or ignore the temptations of Christ, but he is stoic and wise and strong and does not take any of the bait. This is the model of the Catholic bishops of Kansas and their public policy arm, which is Chuck and I in the Kansas Catholic Conference. And we try to follow this and to the best extent possible in the work that we do, especially here in the Capitol. Again, you can read Chuck's testimony, but I do want to just highlight briefly what some of the other conferees have talked upon, which is the foundation of our Catholic faith, and that is the Holy Eucharist, which, quick background on the Satanic group that is planning this event. There is a true black mass. In order for that to occur, that means they have stolen from the Catholics a consecrated host. As Catholics, we believe that the bread and wine truly become the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ through our Holy Mass. And in order for this group to have received that, they would have had to stolen it from us, which is one of the big reasons why this is such a blasphemous event, is because they have stolen from us in order for them to partake in their rituals. But our belief in the Holy Eucharist being the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Christ goes back all the way to the Last Supper. It is the source in some of our faith. It even goes back to the book of John, the Gospel of John, chapter 6, verses 58 through 66, even as well. And I could keep rambling on about this because I teach this in religion class, so I'm happy to have this conversation with anybody outside of the committee, but I just want to bring your attention that this is the source and sum of our Catholic faith, and it is being targeted, and just Christianity is being targeted. These individuals have talked about destroying a Bible, to mocking the Stations of the Cross, which, yes, is typically a predominant Catholic practice, but I've known other Christian denominations to practice this as well, which is reflecting on the path that Christ took on the way to his crucifixion. So there are multiple things that they are doing to mocking not only the Catholic faith, but Christian faith as a whole. And for that reasons, we ask for your support on HR 6060. And I'll stand for questions.
Committee, do we have questions? Representative Clayton?
Thank you. And thank you for being here. As someone who also believes in transubstantiation, I find this to be, a pretty offensive thing that they're doing. But I also know that, the whole entire point of Satan is that he is a liar. Do we know for sure that they actually stole a consecrated host, or are they just saying that to, was there like a documented like theft or break-in that we should be aware of? Or do you think that they just like bought some unconsecrated hosts and are lying to us?
Yeah, excellent question, Representative. We have been given information from multiple sources, some saying that they do not have one, but some sources saying that they do have one. We're not taking any chances at this moment. We're going to act as though that they have truly stolen from us the Blessed Sacrament. You're welcome.
Representative Poskins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you so much for being here. My question is a little bit of a follow-up on Representative Clayton's. Have you tried to file a police report? Because if they are out there saying that they did steal it, I'm just wondering if you have some legal recourse in addition to the resolution.
Yes, thank you, Representative. We, not only our office, but we're working alongside the bishops of Kansas and attorneys to seek out every single form of legal action. And so that is in the process of seeking out all forms of legal action that we can take. Yes.
Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being here today, Lucretia, and I love that top on a side note.
Thank you.
So another follow-up, have anybody from your organization reached out to the Satanic Grotto directly to maybe get from the horse's mouth whether or not it was actually a Eucharist or if it was just crackers or?
Thank you, Representative. Yes, actually, they have been have reached out to us directly and have been in communication and telling us one thing, but then they are telling other individuals another thing. But so we've been in contact. Thank you.
Representative Mosley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Jesus was ridiculed leading up to the cross based off my religious teachings. I grew up Southern Missionary Baptist, and he still maintained his faith all the way until the point that he was crucified. So if Jesus could maintain his faith through crucifixion, what is it? Do you feel like the Catholic's faith is not strong enough to see something like this and know that this is a farce and know that this is blasphemy and move on? Or do they need to be so protected that we have to possibly violate someone's religious freedom?
Thank you, Representative. If I'm understanding your question correctly, we believe that obviously Jesus rose from the cross and well, he died and then he rose from the dead. Yes, thank you. Which is we're preparing for here in the season of Lent as we come upon the Easter season. But as Catholics, we believe that upon his resurrection, he is now truly present in the Holy Eucharist. And again, there's biblical source for our beliefs for that. There is even scientific grounds for this as well, which I'm happy to show and discuss with you on. And so to us, if he is truly present there in the Blessed Sacrament, we want to defend him and protect him as much as possible. Because to us, that's protecting Jesus.
I just grew up that Jesus was more powerful than that, but thank you so much.
And maybe I'm not understanding your question fully, and we can discuss offline theology. I'm happy to, but thank you for the question.
Not seeing any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you, committee. Thank you, Chair.
So I would like to point out, we do have one written testimony, which she had alluded to earlier. I didn't have anybody schedule or reach out to me in opposition on this. Was there somebody out here? Not seeing any. We're going to close the hearing on this subject for right now. And my intentions are to work this bill out of committee today as well. And without objection to that, I think we'll move right in towards moving this bill forward. Do I have a motion on the table? Representative Reese?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So moved.
Do I have a second? Representative Schmo? Is there discussion on the bill? Representative Osman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you asked if there was an objection. I believe I'm going to object to working this bill. And the reason why, if you look at the agenda for today, it doesn't list this this resolution on here. It was announced, the reason that there's no opponents is it was announced this morning. There's no record that it's going to be, that it was going to be worked, heard today or worked today. I realize we're under a time crunch. But the reason why we don't have a full picture of this is because we are working outside of committee hours in order to try to push this through at the last minute. And I don't believe that everyone has had proper notice about this resolution. So I can talk more about the resolution as a whole, and I'm happy to do so. But, you know, in terms of, I don't believe that it's proper for us to be working this bill under extraneous circumstances like this.
Committee, since there has been objection, we're actually going to take a vote in order to work this. According to our rules, we need 2/3 vote to bring this up for a vote. So I'm going to ask for a motion for that.
So moved.
Okay, we'll accept the motion from Representative Sanders to take this up, and Representative Schmo had a second on that. So the vote on this is going to be yes to override that motion and bring this up for a vote today in committee. And it would take a 2/3 vote, so 2/3 of 22 here. It would take 15 yeses in order to move this forward. So all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no.
No.
Since I'm in doubt, I am going to have to see hands on this one. If you are a yes on this one, please raise your hand.
Yes to work the bill or a yes?
Yes to work the bill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. All those that were in favor of not working the bill today. Looks like 17-5, the motion. We will work the bill today. So we're back on Representative Reese's original motion on to pass this out of committee. Any more discussion? Representative Howell.
Thank you, Chair. As we have discussion on this bill, I would just like to point out that in my mind, just as our Constitution allows First Amendment rights for this ritual to happen in the United States of America, the First Amendment allows us the right to have this resolution in the first place. And we have just as much rights as representatives to practice our First Amendment speech. And that's all this resolution is. It doesn't stop anything. It's merely a statement. And it's a statement that says that we recognize that we have First Amendment and that we are against anti-Catholic bigotry. And that's essentially what it's about. And that's why I signed on to this resolution, even though I'm not Catholic, because I don't think it's, even though I agree that our Constitution allows this to happen in our country, I don't personally agree that treating another religion that way is right. So I just want to remind all of us about that in our committee, and that's all this does. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Representative Clayton.
Thank you. This is kind of a tough one for me because, I do have my own sincerely held religious beliefs. And moreover, a lot of people in my district have those beliefs as well. My concern with this resolution is that we are playing right into these guys' hands. They love that we are reacting to this. And by running this resolution, we are giving them publicity that they do not deserve. This is something that we should just simply ignore, act like it isn't taking place, because trust me, they want us to do this.
Representative Mosley, sorry.
Close enough for government work. Thank
I
you
was sitting
very
there
much,
looking
Mr.
right at
Chair.
Moser.
No worry, there is a Mosier in this room as well, and she's awesome. But I think to echo what the representative before me just said, this is nothing but an attention grab, and we are guaranteeing that they're going to get publicity from this. We're spending a lot of time on this. It's going to go to the floor, and I can't tell you the name of the folks who sit out there every day and on every Wednesday and yell about anti-abortion stuff. But now I know who the Satanists are, just because of the fact that we spent so much time talking about this. This is playing right into their hand. There's no such thing as bad publicity. So it went from this thing that was probably going to be like a couple of nerds coming here and desecrating the body of Christ, apparently. And now it's this thing that we are spending time on it. We're going to vote on it. We're going to vote on the floor. We're dedicating way more time to this than than the time it's going to spend for them to have this whatever they're having this event. And so I think it's just kind of silly that we are giving these individuals who want attention the attention that they want. So congratulations to all of us.
Representative Osmond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as we talk about my original objection, which was that there wasn't enough notice and there weren't opponents to this, I want to talk about that for a little bit, because the question of the reason that we have opponents on a bill is not just we want to get a full picture, obviously, on a policy debate, but also to understand what is going on. And on this particular issue, it might actually be crucial to get a full picture of it. All we have right now are guesses. We have suppositions on what's going to happen. We don't know. None of the proponents know. Nobody out there knows until March 28th. And we can object to it in advance, and I understand that that's what we're doing. But we do not know what we are objecting to because it hasn't happened yet. And no one up here can speak definitively to what will occur. So to deal with this resolution, to say we object to the thing that hasn't happened and we do not know what's actually going to happen, seems very short-sighted on our part. I can't support the amendment or the resolution.
Representative Miller. Representative Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with the previous representative. I'm agnostic. I don't practice a faith, though I do respect the ability for all others to practice their faith and feel protected in doing so. But I don't have enough information about any of this, quite honestly. And because of that, I don't know what the Satanic Grotto believes. I don't entirely understand what folks who practice Catholicism believe and the Eucharist and whatnot. And so it would be nice to hear from everyone involved in this on what exactly is going on. To echo what the previous representative said, we don't have any opponents here to speak about it. And as someone who is unfamiliar with the religious practices of both groups, I think it would be important to hear from them. So because of that, I'm going to lean into their First Amendment rights and their ability to safely practice those here. I understand that the governor has made some decisions to move them outside of the inside of the Capitol, but now they're on the outside grounds so that we could protect those who practice the Catholic faith and their safety here on the grounds. But this just doesn't make sense to me. I truly don't. I don't know why that we're moving forward with this if we have no one here to speak on behalf of the community that's involved in trying to practice this. So, thank you.
Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I too have been kind of back and forth a lot on this one as well, because the whole reason I came up here in the first place was to, fight for strong First Amendment and constitutional rights for everybody, and to root out the types of privileges that are afforded to certain groups while other groups are not equally represented. But ultimately, I have a few issues with this bill from a few different standpoints. I personally am not Christian or Catholic. I was raised Christian and Episcopal, which is kind of Catholic. I've been told anyway. So I grew up learning the teachings of Jesus, and I learned at an early age to take that very seriously and take it literally, and to listen to what Jesus had to say about a lot of things. And that being said, as an adult, I decided to go my own way spiritually, and I do have my own very strongly spiritually, religiously held beliefs as well, from a more humanist standpoint. So on line 14, where it references Catholic bigotry, but it also specifically says Christians and Catholics, but then says it blasphemes our shared values of faith. And our being in this legislation implies that everyone who signs on to it, or everyone who's involved in the House of Representatives as we pass this, is Catholic or Christian. And I don't think anybody in this room can guarantee that all 125 of us are. Because I can tell you right now, I'm not, and I just heard someone else say that they're not. So putting the word our in there leaves people such as Jewish faith or agnostic or atheist or humanist or, the flying purple people eaters, whatever religion people decide to follow and practice, that is up to them, and it's protected by the First Amendment in the Establishment Clause, that the government cannot pass laws that protect or establish any type of religion. And to another representative's point, that yes, we as representatives do have a First Amendment rights as well. However, right now we are operating as government. And as a government body, we are not supposed to pass laws that apply preference or privilege to any specific religion. And furthermore, protests are not designed to make people's lives easier. They're designed to disrupt and draw attention to a specific point. In this specific example, it is a redress of grievances to the government. And more specifically, if anybody would have actually thought to reach out to the Satanists directly and find out what it is their problem, what's their problem, it's they want to redress the grievances that they have by their treatment from the Catholic Church, being raised Catholic or Christian and taking issue with how certain things happen, and they are no longer Catholic or Christian, and they want to redress those grievances. The preference is applied to the Catholics and Christians who are allowed to very freely practice their religion and practice rituals and sing kumbaya and shove pictures of aborted fetuses in our faces, whether we like it or not. And so just in the same way that I firmly stand in support of the people who tell me that I'm going to hell and that I'm a baby killer every day on my way to go try to do good work for the people. I fight for their right to be able to do that because the First Amendment is absolute. It should apply to everybody. And so I'm going to be opposed to this on the First Amendment absolute stance that we should not be, as a government body, providing any protections to any one specific religion, and that everyone has the ability to practice however they want to, whether we like it or not, whether it hurts our feelings or not. But nobody thought to ask what hurt their feelings and why they might be doing it. So I'm not siding with them, and I'm not siding with anybody specifically other than just the Constitution says that we should not be passing any specific laws. But I do take specific issue with the word our in here because that does not include me. And I am, from line 21, I am a person of goodwill. And so to include me in the not only Catholics, but all people of goodwill, I don't feel adequately represented. Because regardless of my religious beliefs, I am a person of goodwill, and that's why I'm here. So I will be voting no on this. Thank you.
Representative Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While I would agree until it happens, we can't really know what exactly is going to happen. However, they did make a very brief post on Facebook, and I'd like to read that to the committee. And so the Satanists say, join us at the Topeka Capitol building in Kansas as we dedicate the grounds in our legislature to the glory of Satan. We will be performing rites to the Black Mass and indulging in sacrilegious blaspheme. God will fall and Kansas will be embraced by the black flame of Lucifer. Hail Satan. So we know from what they're advertising, what they're intending to do. Number one, we certainly have our right of free speech to be able to condemn that. And while I would agree with those who have expressed the belief, and I agree with it, that all we're doing is giving them attention that they so intently crave, that doesn't mitigate the fact that we need to do the right thing in condemning this. So I'll be voting for this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Bryce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think when I first heard about this issue, I was really torn on whether we should ignore them, as has been said by some representatives, or we should stand up to them. And just a brief background, I have worked in third world countries where we had active witch doctors and voodoo people I would describe as demonized coming against us, and our attitude in those situations was to ignore them, and that worked out very well. And so my initial impression was, well, we should ignore these people. But I think this is different. These people are bullying, they are attacking people's religious freedom. They need to be stood up to. And those of you who do read the Bible, and there's Romans chapter 12, verse 21 that says, be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. It doesn't mean that we attack evil people. It's that we're not overcome by evil and we stand for what is good. And to the representatives mentioned that it does not represent all people. I think, I'm sorry I came in late, but I believe that, and I briefly saw the document, but I believe all people in the House of Representatives have a religious belief that it coincides with the attitude of this bill, this resolution, even if we don't. I'm not Catholic, and many of us are not Catholic, but we need to stand up for people against those who are bullying. I see it almost as a sheepdog type of function that we may need to have in this kind of situation. So I'll vote for this resolution. Thank you.
Representative Roser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say a couple things. Thank you for having me on your committee. First, in contrary to a point that another conferee said, our time here is not wasted. We get paid to care about our district's priorities. And I can't speak for anybody else's inbox, but the amount of emails and outreach that I personally have received from the Catholic Church that sits in my district, from the Catholic Church that sits outside of my district, from people who are worried about this across the state, they deserve advocacy as well. I also want to point out, also contrary to another conferee in their statement, that this is not a bill, and it's been called a bill. This is a resolution. There's a distinct difference, and so I'd like to call on the reviser to give us some clarity on the difference between a bill and a resolution, please.
Mike.
A resolution has no effect as a law. It is simply a statement of a particular attitude or belief. You use resolutions all the time to congratulate someone. You use resolutions to urge different behavior or whatever, but it has no effect and will not be printed in the statute books. It will be in the session laws, as I recall, but not, it won't be preserved beyond this year.
Thank you so much for that clarification. That being said, because I believe in it being an accurate representation of my district, but more so in this case being an accurate representation of the individual who I am replacing on this committee today, I will be voting yes in favor of this resolution.
Not seeing any more discussion. Representative Reese, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I had a whole big soliloquy I was going to finish with. With that, I move the bill.
Committee, you've heard the motion. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. No. Ayes have it. Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like my vote recorded.
Would there anybody that'd like to have their vote recorded? Representative Sanders, ayes. Any other ayes? Not seeing any other noes that would like their vote recorded? Not seeing, you want yours? Representative Miller would like his no vote recorded. Committee, that is all we have today for the second half. I would like to ask Representative Tarwater, is your microphone broken or?
No, sir, I was taught a long time ago to respect my chair.
Oh. Very well. Well, committee, thank you once again for coming in today, and we're done. Thank you.